Have you ever caught her staring? Just for a split second and felt it pierce your chest? Felt that electric tension that makes you wonder, does she want me, or is it just in my head? Think back to the last time she smiled at someone else while your heart screamed inside. The way she laughed at another man's joke, while leaving you frozen, questioning everything. That sting isn't your imagination, it's a map. A secret language she's speaking, and most men are too blind to see it. Here's the brutal truth nobody will tell you. Women rarely reveal desire openly. It's hidden in gestures and fleeting glances, in tiny acts that ignite obsession. But only if you know how to read them. Miss them and you remain invisible. See them and you hold the key to making her crave you, chase you, even when she has dozens of options. Before we go further, I want you to do something. Remember the last woman who slipped through your fingers, the one who left without saying what you needed most. Recall the last words she said, her tone, the weight behind them. Keep that moment alive in your mind, because what you're about to learn will flip everything. It's not just psychology, it's an unspoken code, a hidden blueprint that can make her desire you secretly, endlessly, without her even realizing it. By the end of this video, you won't just see signs, you'll feel them, understand them, and use them. Every glance, every touch, every subtle signal becomes your weapon. She won't just notice you, she'll crave you. She won't just think of you, she'll fantasize about you, and she'll do it all without ever admitting it. So pause. Remember the last thing she said before walking away. Comment it below. Because what comes next will change everything you thought you knew about desire, attraction, and the female mind. She creates reasons to be emotionally close, not physically close. Daniel didn't notice it at first. That was the problem. He thought desire showed up loudly, touching, flirting, obvious signals. But what actually happened with Emily in Manchester was quieter, slower, and far more revealing. She never brushed against him accidentally. She never leaned in too close. Instead, she stayed after meetings just to talk. Not about work, about pressure, about expectations, about the version of herself no one else ever asked about. This is where most men misread women. They wait for physical signs and ignore emotional access. But female psychology works in reverse. When a woman is secretly desiring you, she doesn't rush her body toward you, she brings her inner world first. Because emotional safety is the gatekeeper of desire, not lust. Emily had friends she laughed with, co-workers she joked around with, men who flirted openly. Yet when she spoke to Daniel, her voice dropped. Her pace slowed. She asked questions that had no surface-level benefit. Do you ever feel like you're ahead of your age? What do you want your life to look like in 5 years? These weren't random. These were tests of depth, presence, and emotional strength. Women don't emotionally open to men they don't care about. That's not opinion. That's behavioral psychology. Emotional disclosure is investment. Every personal story is a signal saying, I'm placing something fragile in your hands. Show me who you are. And here's where weak men fail. They overreact. They try to fix. They give advice. They chase closeness. That kills attraction instantly. Daniel didn't do that. He listened. He stayed grounded. He didn't rush to impress. And because he didn't try to win the moment, Emily leaned in further over time. A woman desiring you secretly watches how you handle her vulnerability. If you stay calm, composed, and non-invasive, her nervous system associates you with safety and strength. That combination is rare. And rarity fuels desire. This is why emotional closeness always comes before sexual tension, when attraction is real. She's not being friendly. She's not bored. She's choosing you as a psychological refuge, and women don't do that casually. If she didn't want you, she'd keep things light, surface level, predictable. When she starts letting you see behind the curtain, that's not coincidence. That's desire looking for permission to exist. Inconsistency that feels intentional. James hated this part. One day, Olivia in Leeds was warm, curious, almost magnetic. The next day, she felt distant, distracted, unreachable. He replayed every conversation in his head, searching for mistakes. That's exactly what most men do, and exactly why they lose. Because inconsistency isn't confusion. It's control under pressure. When a woman secretly desires you, she often tries to manage that desire before it manages her. Female psychology is deeply tied to self-regulation. Desire introduces risk. Emotional risk, social risk, vulnerability risk. So she pulls back. Not because attraction disappeared, but because it intensified. A woman who feels nothing is Consistent, polite, neutral, predictable. A woman who feels desire becomes inconsistent because she's negotiating with herself. Olivia wasn't playing games. She was protecting her emotional balance. When James leaned forward emotionally, seeking reassurance, she withdrew. When he pulled back, focused on his life, she re-engaged. The pattern wasn't random. It was responsive. This is where emotional discipline matters. Men who chase consistency force women to suppress desire. Men who stay steady allow it to surface naturally. Psychology explains this clearly. Desire grows in space. Pressure triggers resistance. When James stopped asking where he stood and simply stayed present without emotional demand, Olivia's inconsistency faded. Why? Because she no longer needed to defend herself from her own attraction. Women don't want to feel cornered by emotions they haven't chosen consciously. Inconsistency is her way of slowing the process without killing it. And here's the brutal truth: if her inconsistency bothers you, you're already losing ground, because it reveals neediness, not strength. The men women desire don't require emotional certainty to remain centered. James learned to respond, not react. He matched energy without chasing it. He stayed warm without becoming available on demand. And once Olivia felt that her pull didn't control him, her desire stabilized. Inconsistency is only a problem for men who need control. For men who understand psychology, it's a signal. Desire under restraint. When you stop fearing it, stop labeling it, and stop demanding clarity. Attraction does something unexpected. It deepens. Because a woman doesn't fall for the man who reacts to her emotions. She falls for the man who remains grounded in the presence of them. She mirrors your energy subconsciously. Alex never realized how powerful energy could be until he met Sophie in a bustling cafe in Manchester. He thought attraction was about looks, charm, or witty banter, but Sophie's reactions showed him something deeper. When he laughed, she laughed just slightly after him. When he spoke calmly, she mirrored his tone, softening her own intensity. When he leaned into confidence, she leaned in almost without realizing it. This is a phenomenon rooted deeply in female psychology. Mirroring. Women subconsciously reflect the energy, rhythm, and intensity of a man they desire. It isn't a conscious game. It's biology. It's a reflection of connection at a level that predates words, judgment, or logic. Mirror her energy too little and she feels distant. Mirror her too much and you become predictable, boring, or even weak. The mastery lies in subtlety. Alex had unknowingly triggered Sophie's mirroring because he was calm, present, and slightly unpredictable. When he laughed softly at an offbeat comment, she laughed too, but lingered longer in his presence. When he shared a story with composed emotion, she mirrored that tempo, subconsciously opening her emotional rhythm to match his. Women respond to this because it signals alignment. He feels like someone she can sync with emotionally, someone who reflects her own energy in ways others can't. But mirroring isn't mimicry. It's a dance of presence. Alex didn't imitate Sophie. He let his authentic energy naturally align with hers, creating a subtle resonance she couldn't name but deeply felt. This is why a woman secretly desiring you often mirrors you without knowing why. She is drawn in because her subconscious recognizes harmony, security, and potential intimacy. In practice, mirroring can be observed in small, seemingly trivial ways: posture, gestures, facial expressions, speech patterns, and even pacing of movement. If a woman leans forward while listening, she unconsciously gauges your response. If you maintain grounded confidence while she mirrors, her desire intensifies. She starts associating calm strength with attraction. For men in English cities like Leeds, London, or Manchester, understanding this subtle cue is crucial. Most men chase with overt signals, messages, calls, constant attention missing, the quiet signs that a woman's desire is already unfolding. Women rarely broadcast their interest explicitly. They test, measure, and reflect before making overt moves. By noticing mirroring and responding with consistent presence, a man signals high value without chasing attention, allowing desire to flourish naturally. Alex's breakthrough came when he realized he didn't need to escalate conversations forcefully. By simply maintaining his energy, allowing Sophie to reflect it, he created a magnetic pull. She began initiating conversations, laughing first, and subtly aligning her schedule to spend more time with him. The mirroring had transformed into conscious pursuit. Mirroring is a language without words. Women use it to communicate subtle desire. High-value men respond not by overt manipulation, but by embodying consistent energy, calmness, and authenticity. This triggers an emotional resonance women can't resist. This principle extends beyond romantic scenarios. In social or professional interactions in English cities, women subconsciously align with men who display confident, grounded energy. The difference between casual admiration and secret desire often hinges on this invisible dance. Understanding mirroring transforms the way you interpret female behavior. When a woman mirrors your energy subtly, she is signaling alignment, trust, and desire, all indicators that she's emotionally investing in you. Without even realizing it, recognizing and maintaining your presence amplifies that attraction exponentially. In essence, women don't always verbalize desire, they reflect it. And men who see this reflection respond with composed energy and hold their authenticity, create a silent yet irresistible pull. She doesn't have to say it. Her behavior already declares it. She tests boundaries quietly. Olivia in Bristol wasn't overt in her interest at first. She asked Alex small, indirect questions about his availability, subtly probing how he would respond to potential commitment or attention. Do you spend much time with friends? How often do you travel? These weren't innocent curiosities, they were tests. Women who secretly desire a man often test boundaries quietly, assessing emotional stability, self-control, and confidence. This is not manipulation. It's evolutionary psychology at work. They seek men who can hold space, respond to tension without losing composure, and maintain high value even under subtle social pressure. Alex noticed that Olivia's questions weren't random. They gauged his priorities, his reactions, and his ability to stay calm under scrutiny. A man who panicked, over-explained, or became defensive would have signaled low value. By remaining grounded, playful, and assertive without arrogance, Alex passed every test without realizing it. Boundary testing can manifest in subtle ways: small disagreements, teasing, delayed responses, or hypotheticals about jealousy or attention. Women do this to understand emotional limits and assess the potential for attraction and safety. When a man responds without overreacting, desire deepens. For men navigating dating in London, Manchester, or Leeds, recognizing these subtle tests is crucial. Misreading them often leads to overcommitment or mismanaged energy, which kills attraction. Instead, the high-value approach is to maintain composure, recognize the test, and respond authentically without seeking approval. Alex's experience shows that boundary testing is a silent form of desire. When he noticed her subtle provocations and remained emotionally composed, Olivia's interest grew exponentially. She began revealing more of herself, engaging more deeply, and initiating subtle closeness, all signals of heightened desire triggered by the way he navigated her tests. This principle applies universally. Women desire men who remain anchored under scrutiny, who project confidence without arrogance, and who respect their own boundaries. Recognizing and responding to these tests transforms hidden desire into overt pursuit, making attraction effortless and organic. By observing mirroring and boundary testing together, men can decode female desire in real time. It's not about manipulation, it's about awareness, presence, and emotional intelligence. The woman's subtle signals, mirroring and testing, reveal the depth of her secret attraction, long before words confirm it. Alex's mastery of these dynamics made his connection with Olivia magnetic. She felt seen, understood, and challenged in the right ways. Desire had quietly but unmistakably taken root, and he didn't have to chase, it followed naturally. In short, understanding these subtle signs, the mirroring of energy and the quiet boundary tests, allows a man to recognize secret female desire and respond with grounded presence, turning latent attraction into conscious pursuit. She finds subtle ways to stay in your mind. In the crowded streets of London, Emma noticed something peculiar about Sophie, a colleague she barely knew outside of work. Despite their interactions being brief, a smile in the hallway, a shared coffee, small talk at the office, Sophie seemed to linger in her mind long after the moment had passed. She would find herself recalling Sophie's laugh, the way she tilted her head while speaking, and even the tone of her casual compliments. This is one of the most subtle yet undeniable signs a woman is secretly desiring you. She finds ways to remain mentally present in your life, even when you're not physically together. This mental presence isn't accidental. Women who are emotionally drawn to a man will engage in what psychologists call cognitive reinforcement. They will think about you repeatedly, replay past interactions, and anticipate future encounters. Unlike overt flirting or direct signals, this form of desire is quiet, invisible, and incredibly powerful. Doesn't require physical proximity. It thrives in thought, memory, and imagination. Take Daniel, a musician in Manchester. He met Laura at a local jazz night. Their conversation lasted barely 15 minutes. But over the next week, Daniel noticed subtle changes in her behavior. She would laugh at inside jokes even when texting casually, reference minor details of their conversation spontaneously, and send messages that reminded him of shared moments. These weren't conscious efforts to flirt. These were unconscious manifestations of her desire. Women use mental presence to maintain emotional connection and test the emotional depth of a man. The psychological reason behind this is rooted in the female mind's capacity for attachment and anticipation. When a woman is intrigued, she mentally rehearses potential interactions, imagining outcomes and gauging her emotional response. The more intrigued she is, the more vivid and frequent these mental projections become. In English social dynamics, whether it's at a networking event in Leeds or a cafe in Bristol, you might not notice this immediately, but if a woman brings up seemingly insignificant details, remembers small personal preferences, or initiates thoughts of connection, she's already investing emotionally. Another layer to this mental engagement is subtle signaling. Women will find ways to keep their presence in your life indirectly, through social media interactions, mutual friends, or spontaneous messages. For instance, Sophie might comment lightly on a photo, share a song she knows you'd like, or casually mention a place she knows you frequent. These are not overt attempts at communication. They're calculated placements that maintain cognitive proximity. The female mind is wired to create patterns and emotional loops, and she's using subtle cues to loop herself into your mental space repeatedly. Men often underestimate this type of desire because it's not tangible. They look for physical proximity, direct attention, or explicit flirting. But high-value men, especially in social hubs like London or Manchester, recognize that emotional and cognitive presence is a far stronger indicator of attraction. A woman who keeps returning to your image, voice, or shared experiences, in her mind is signaling investment on a level that often surpasses overt actions. Emma realized that Sophie's mental presence affected her behavior unconsciously. She started planning encounters, subtly creating situations where their paths would cross, and initiating conversations under seemingly casual circumstances. Every small effort strengthened the psychological attachment, creating a feedback loop of desire. By staying mentally engaged, Sophie ensured she wasn't just another face in the crowd. She became a presence that Daniel couldn't ignore. The key takeaway is this: when a woman desires you, she doesn't just act in the moment. She ensures her presence lingers in your mind. The desire is subtle, intelligent, and persistent. Recognizing this mental investment allows a man to understand the depth of her attraction without relying on explicit cues. For men navigating dating or social interactions across English counties, whether in London's fast-paced streets, Manchester's lively pubs, or Bristol's artistic hubs, understanding mental presence is critical. It reveals attraction that many miss, providing an early insight into the hidden dynamics of female desire. High-value men respond not by over-engaging or chasing, but by acknowledging her presence, reinforcing subtle connections, and maintaining their own grounded energy. Ultimately, the woman who keeps herself in your mind is signaling a profound, often unspoken attraction. She is weaving herself into your thoughts, creating anticipation, and building emotional attachment, all without saying a single word. Recognize it, respect it, and you unlock one of the most powerful indicators of secret desire in the female psyche. This mental tether is not just a sign, it's an invitation. She is testing your awareness, gauging your engagement, and inviting you to step into a space of deeper emotional connection. Respond wisely, and the pull becomes irresistible. Conclusion: understanding the hidden signs of her desire isn't about manipulation. It's about perception, awareness, and timing. Women communicate their longing subtly, in ways most men completely miss. By noticing her glances, her energy, and the little signals she drops, you step into a space of control where attraction becomes natural, where desire is sparked without force, without chasing, without neediness. Remember, this isn't a game of luck. It's a game of observation, psychology, and emotional intelligence. The woman who once seemed out of reach will begin to gravitate toward you, almost instinctively, because you've learned to see what others can't. You've learned to speak the language of desire she doesn't even realize she's using. Take this knowledge, use it with integrity, and watch as her attention, her thoughts, and her subtle fantasies align with you. She won't just notice you, she'll think of you constantly. She won't just feel drawn. She'll quietly crave your presence over and over. The signs were always there. Most men just weren't paying attention. Now you are, and that changes everything. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.